The thing about helicopters is they keep flying after the pilot dies, for a few seconds, anyway. Long enough to understand what's happening. Long enough to reach for controls you're not trained to use. Long enough to know you're about to crash. Long enough to watch your pilot slump forward with a hole in his head. My name is Danny Martinez. I was a crew chief on a UH-1 Huey in Vietnam. The Huey, everyone called it that. Most famous helicopter ever built. The sound of Vietnam. That distinctive whop, whop, whop of the rotor blades. You hear it once, you never forget it. I was 19 years old when I got to Vietnam in 1970. From Los Angeles, East LA. Joined the Army because I was broke and stupid and thought it might be an adventure. They made me a crew chief after basic training in helicopter mechanic school. Told me I'd be responsible for maintaining a Huey, keeping it flying, making sure it was combat ready. What they didn't tell me was that I'd be flying in it, that crew chiefs don't just work on helicopters, they fly in them, every mission, every day. Sitting in the open door with an M60 machine gun, watching for enemy fire, hauling supplies, medevacing wounded, doing whatever needed doing. They also didn't tell me that I'd become more attached to that helicopter and its crew than to my own family. That the pilot, co-pilot, and door gunner would become the only people in the world who mattered. That we'd trust each other with our lives every single day. And they definitely didn't tell me what it would feel like when one of them died. My pilot was Warrant Officer David Bennett from Montana, 23 years old, red hair, freckles, always smiling. He'd been in country for 8 months when I joined his crew. Flew like he was born in a cockpit, smooth, confident, never panicked even when everything was going to hell. We called him Red. Not creative, but it fit. He called me Chief, even though I was just a specialist. Made me feel important. Made me feel like I mattered. March 18th, 1971. That's the day Red died. That's the day everything changed. We were flying a supply run that morning. Routine mission, nothing special. Firebase Ripcord, up in the A Shau Valley. They needed ammunition, water, medical supplies. We'd been running supplies to Ripcord for weeks. Easy work, in and out. The crew was the usual team, Red in the pilot seat. Warrant Officer Mike Torres in the co-pilot seat. We called him T. Me behind Red, manning the port side M60. And Private First Class Willie Jackson on the starboard side with another M60. Willie was from Detroit, 18 years old, good kid, always joking, always smiling. We took off from Camp Eagle around 0800 hours. Clear morning. Beautiful, actually. Mountains covered in jungle, morning fog just starting to burn off. Vietnam was gorgeous when it wasn't trying to kill you. "How you doing back there, Chief?" Red's voice through the intercom, always checking on us. "Good, sir. All systems green." That's what I like to hear. "T, what's our ETA to Ripcord?" 20 minutes, Torres said. "Weather's clear. Should be smooth sailing." Should be. Those two words should be banned from military vocabulary. We were 15 minutes out when we started taking ground fire. Not heavy, just sporadic AK-47 rounds. Harassing fire. The NVA liked to shoot at helicopters. Sometimes they'd hit something, usually they didn't. It was just part of flying in Vietnam. "Taking fire, 3 o'clock, Willie called out. I saw the muzzle flashes in the jungle below, maybe 6 or 7 shooters. I opened up with the M60, spraying the area. Willie did the same on his side. Standard procedure. Suppress the fire, keep moving, don't give them an easy target. "We're good," Red said. His voice was calm, always calm. "Just keep us covered, guys." The firing stopped. We kept flying. Firebase Ripcord was coming up ahead, a small cleared area on top of a hill, surrounded by bunkers and sandbags. I could see the guys on the ground waving us in. Red started his approach. Smooth descent, perfect angle. This was probably his 500th landing. He could do it in his sleep. We were maybe 50 feet from touchdown when I heard it. A different sound, not AK-47s, something bigger. RPG, Torres shouted. RPG! Break left. I saw the rocket-propelled grenade coming, a streak of smoke and fire rising from the jungle, coming right at us. Red yanked the cyclic. The Huey banked hard left. The RPG missed the fuselage by maybe 5 feet. Missed us. But the NVA had fired more than one. The second RPG didn't miss. The explosion wasn't loud. That's what I remember. You'd think it would be deafening, but it wasn't. Just a sharp bang like a firecracker. Then the helicopter shuddered. The whole aircraft jerked sideways. I looked down, saw the hole in the floor, saw smoke, smelled fuel and burning metal. "We're hit," Torres was shouting. "We're hit. Red, talk to me." Red didn't answer. I looked forward into the cockpit. Red was slumped over the controls. Blood everywhere. The RPG had detonated near the cockpit, and shrapnel had come through the plexiglass. Through Red's door. Through Red. "Red!" I was screaming it. "Red!" Torres was trying to take control, trying to level the helicopter. But Red's body was on the controls. Dead weight. The Huey was spinning, losing altitude fast. I unbuckled, lunged forward, grabbed Red's shoulders and pulled him back. His head lolled. I saw his eyes. Empty. Gone. There was a piece of shrapnel embedded in his skull, right above his left ear. Blood was pouring down his face, his neck soaking his flight suit. "I got the controls." Torres was wrestling with the cyclic. "Chief, strap him in. Strap him in and get back to your gun." But I couldn't move. Couldn't let go of Red. His body was warm, still warm, like he was just sleeping, like he might wake up. "Chief, get back to your station. Now." Willie was firing. The NVA had opened up with everything they had. A K-47s, machine guns. We were a wounded bird, easy target, and they wanted to finish us. I strapped Red into his seat. His head flopped forward. I tried to pull it back, to make him look comfortable, like it mattered, like anything mattered anymore. The helicopter lurched. Torres was trying to land. We were over the firebase now, but barely. Losing altitude too fast. The rotor was damaged. I could hear it grinding, metal on metal. The engine was screaming. "Brace! Brace! We're going down hard!" We hit the ground at Firebase Ripcord doing maybe 30 knots. The skids collapsed. The tail booms snapped. The helicopter rolled onto its side. I flew across the cargo bay, slammed into the bulkhead. Something in my shoulder broke. The pain was immediate, blinding, but I was alive. Torres was alive. Willie was alive. We crawled out of the wreckage. Soldiers from the firebase were running toward us, pulling us away. The helicopter was on fire now. Small arms ammunition cooking off, popping like firecrackers. The pilot. I was screaming at them. Red's still in there. They pulled me back, held me down. "He's gone, man. He's gone. You can't help him." But I fought to get back to the helicopter, fought to pull Red out. He was my pilot, my responsibility. I was supposed to take care of him, supposed to keep him safe. The helicopter exploded. Fuel tank went up. The whole thing just erupted in flames. I watched Red burn, watched the Huey burn, watched everything I cared about turn to ash and smoke. They dragged me to the aid station. My shoulder was dislocated, possibly fractured. They gave me morphine, put my arm in a sling. But the morphine didn't help, didn't touch the real pain. They medevaced me out of Ripcord that afternoon. Another Huey came in, picked up me, Torres, and Willie, flew us back to the hospital at Camp Eagle. Willie was physically fine, bruised, shaken, but intact. Torres had a concussion and some cuts. I had the dislocated shoulder and 3 cracked ribs I hadn't noticed until the morphine wore off. We sat in the hospital, the 3 of us, not talking, just sitting. What was there to say? A captain came by in the evening, asked us what happened. Torres gave him the report, grid coordinates, Time of incident, cause of crash, casualties, 1 KIA. Warrant Officer David Bennett. The captain wrote it down, asked a few more questions, left. That was it. Red's life reduced to a casualty report, a statistic. One more name for the wall. They buried him 3 days later at the base cemetery. Military funeral, flag-draped coffin, rifle salute, taps, the whole ceremony. I couldn't go. My shoulder was still immobilized and the doctors wouldn't clear me. But I wouldn't have gone anyway. Couldn't face it. Couldn't stand there and listen to taps and pretend it meant something. Pretend Red's death was honorable or necessary or anything other than random and pointless. They assigned me to a new crew after 2 weeks, new pilot, new co-pilot, same door gunner. Willie stuck with me. The new pilot was a warrant officer named Steve Graham, from Texas. Good pilot, competent, professional. But he wasn't Red. I couldn't connect with him. Couldn't trust him the way I'd trusted Red. Every time we flew, I'd stare at the back of his head and think, this one's going to die too. They all die eventually. Why bother learning his name? Graham tried to be friendly, asked me about myself, about home, about what I wanted to do after the war. I gave him one-word answers, kept my distance. He got the message, stopped trying. Willie and I talked about it once, late at night, sitting outside our hooch, smoking cigarettes we'd gotten from God knows where. You okay, Chief? Yeah, fine. You don't seem fine. What do you want me to say, Willie? That I'm dealing with it? That I'm processing my feelings? I watched our pilot burn. I'm not okay, never gonna be okay. None of us are okay. We're all just pretending. He was right. Everyone in Vietnam was pretending. Pretending we weren't terrified. Pretending the war made sense. Pretending we'd go home and everything would be fine. But we all knew the truth. We were dying here. Not all at once, but piece by piece. Every day, every mission. Red died fast. One piece of shrapnel, and he was gone. Lucky, in a way. Some guys died slow, lost limbs, lost minds, came back home as shells of who they'd been. I kept flying, did another 8 months, got to my DEROS, date of expected return from overseas. Went home in November 1971, but I never stopped seeing Red slump forward. Never stopped feeling his warm body in my hands. Never stopped hearing that explosion. Never stopped failing him. I had my breakdown in February 1972, 4 months after I got home. I was back in LA, living with my parents, trying to figure out what to do with my life, trying to pretend I was a normal 20-year-old instead of whatever I'd become. I got a job at a mechanic shop, working on cars. Figured if I could maintain a Huey, I could work on a Chevy. The owner was a vet himself, Korea. He understood, didn't ask questions. I was okay for a few months. Kept busy, worked long hours. Didn't think about Vietnam. Didn't think about Red. Just focused on the work. Then a helicopter flew over one day. Just a news helicopter covering traffic or something. But that sound. That whop, whop, whop of the rotor blades. I was under a car, changing oil, heard the helicopter, and suddenly I wasn't in LA anymore. I was in Vietnam, in the cargo bay of a Huey, watching Red slump forward, feeling his blood on my hands, smelling burning fuel. I crawled out from under the car and ran, just ran, down the street, through traffic. I didn't know where I was going, didn't care. Just needed to get away from that sound. The police picked me up 3 blocks away. I was sitting on a curb, crying. Couldn't stop. Years of not crying, and it all came out at once. Great heaving sobs. Snot running down my face. Completely broken. They called my father. He came and got me. Drove me home. Didn't say anything. Just drove. The VA sent me to therapy. Group therapy with other vets. Guys who'd been through similar things, lost friends, watched men die, came home changed. The therapist asked me to talk about what happened, about Red, about March 18th, 1971. I couldn't form the words. Every time I tried, my throat would close up, my hands would shake. I'd have to leave the room. You're experiencing what we call survivor's guilt, the therapist said. You feel responsible for your pilot's death, but you're not. You did everything you could. I didn't do enough. What could you have done differently? I don't know. Something. Anything. He was my pilot. My responsibility. I should have protected him. You were a crew chief, not a shield. You couldn't have stopped that RPG. No one could have. But logic didn't help. Doesn't help. Because I was there. I survived. Red didn't. And that's not fair. That's not right. Red had a fiancée back in Montana, Sarah. I looked her up in 1973. Called her. Don't know why. Thought maybe it would help. Thought maybe if I talked to someone who loved him too, I could make sense of it. I just wanted you to know, I said, that Red was a good pilot. The best. And he didn't suffer. It was fast. I was lying. I didn't know if it was fast, didn't know if Red felt anything, but Sarah needed to hear it, needed to believe he didn't suffer. Thank you, she said. Her voice was small, broken. Thank you for calling. Thank you for being with him. I hung up and cried for 3 hours. I never flew again. After Vietnam, I mean. Never got in a helicopter, never even got close to one. People ask me sometimes if I want to go up, go to an air show, see the restored Hueys, talk to other crew chiefs, share stories. I can't. Can't even look at a helicopter without my chest getting tight, without hearing that explosion, without seeing Red's head snap back, without feeling the warmth of his blood. I worked as a mechanic for 30 years. Good work, honest work, fixed cars, trucks, motorcycles, anything but helicopters. Built a decent life. Got married in 1980, Maria. She was patient with me. Patient with the nightmares, the flashbacks, the times I'd just shut down and couldn't talk for days. We had 2 kids, good kids. I tried to be a good father, tried to be present. But part of me was always somewhere else, always in that helicopter, always watching Red die. I never told my kids about Vietnam. Not really. They knew I'd served, knew I'd been a crew chief. But I never told them about Red, about March 18th, about the guilt that ate at me every single day. How could I explain? How could I make them understand that their father failed at the one thing that mattered, that he let his pilot die? I looked up Torres in 1985, found his number, called him. We talked for an hour. First time we'd spoken since 1971. You ever think about that day? I asked. Every day, man. Every single day. You blame yourself? Yeah. I should have seen that second RPG, should have maneuvered, should have dash. You did everything right. It wasn't your fault. Wasn't yours either, Chief. We were just there. Wrong place, wrong time. Could have been any of us. But it wasn't any of us. It was Red. And that matters. That means something. I found out Willie died in 1990. Overdose. Heroin. His sister called to tell me. Said Willie had struggled for years. Couldn't hold a job. Couldn't stay clean. The war had broken something in him that never healed. I went to his funeral, saw his family. His mother cried, said Willie had never been the same after Vietnam, said he'd had nightmares, said he'd talked about a pilot who died, about watching him burn. We'd never talked about it. Willie and I flew together for 8 months after Red died, and we never once talked about what happened. Just locked it away, pretended we were fine. Maybe if we'd talked. Maybe if we'd helped each other. Maybe Willie would still be alive. I'm 72 years old now, retired. Maria's still with me somehow. The kids are grown, have families of their own. I've got grandkids who think I'm a hero because I served in Vietnam. I'm not a hero. Heroes save people. I let mine die. The Vietnam War ended in 1975. Over 58,000 Americans killed. Over 300,000 wounded. Thousands of helicopters shot down. Thousands of crew chiefs like me watching their pilots die. We don't talk about it much. Don't have reunions. Don't share stories. What would we say? That we failed? That we survived when better men didn't? That we're still carrying them every single day? I still see Red in my dreams. Sometimes he's flying the Huey, smiling, calling me Chief. Sometimes he's slumped forward, blood running down his face. Sometimes he's burning. I wake up and can't get back to sleep. Can't shake the feeling that I should have done something. Should have been faster. Should have pulled him out before the helicopter exploded. Should have saved him. Maria asks me sometimes what I'm thinking about. When I get quiet. When I stare at nothing. Just remembering, I say. Remembering what? A friend. Someone I lost. She doesn't push. Knows better. Knows that some things can't be talked about. Some losses can't be explained. Red would be 76 years old now. Would have had a life. A family, kids, grandkids, a career, everything. Instead, he's frozen at 23. Forever young, forever smiling, forever my pilot. I carry his dog tags in my wallet. Sent them to me after the funeral. I don't know why I keep them. Don't know what it proves. But I can't get rid of them. Can't let go. Maybe because if I let go of the tags, I let go of him. And if I let go of him, I admit that he's really gone. That March 18th, 1971 really happened. That I really failed. So I carry them, feel their weight every time I reach for my wallet, every time I pay for something, every time I just check to make sure they're still there. They're always there, just like Red. Just like that day. Just like the guilt. Helicopters keep flying after the pilot dies. For a few seconds. Long enough to understand what's happened. Long enough to know you've lost something you can't get back. Long enough to carry that loss forever. I'm still flying that mission. Still taking fire. Still watching Red slump forward. Still reaching for him too late. Still failing him. Over and over. Every single day for 53 years. The helicopter crashed in 1971, but I never stopped falling, never hit the ground, never found a way to walk away from the wreckage. I'm still there, still in that cargo bay, still covered in his blood, still trying to save him, still failing. Red died in 1971, but part of me died with him. The part that believed I could protect the people I cared about. The part that believed I had control. The part that believed survival was the same as winning. We crashed on March 18th, 1971. Red died. I survived. But survival isn't living, it's just not dying. And I've been not dying for 53 years. Still watching that helicopter burn. Still smelling the fuel. Still hearing the explosion. Still losing my pilot. Every day, forever. The war ended, but the crash never stops. The fire never goes out. The guilt never fades. I'm still his crew chief, still responsible for him, still failing, still falling, still burning,